I'm Dan from Striker, lead singer of the band. Striker's been around since 2007, and we started as a band because me and our original guitar player Ian wanted to make a band that was just like the band Racer X, which is an 80s band. Anybody watching this probably knows who Racer X is, but that was our original idea for the band, and it didn't turn out that way, but because we had a lot of other influences, but that's where we started. And Striker has turned into sort of a collaboration of all kinds of different traditional metals jammed together into one stand. So when the band started, we were heavily influenced by 80s metal, from like traditional metal to speed metal to hair metal and all that kind of stuff. I don't, for whatever reason, we were always super interested in that. I couldn't even tell you why, really. It wasn't like the popular thing going on at the time, but it was like this, I don't know, it's like watching cult classic horror movies or something like that. It was just some charm to it, and yeah, so we just gravitated towards that for whatever reason. So I think traditional heavy metal is sort of like metal style, but it was capped out at a certain year. I'm not sure exactly what year that is, but it's like maybe late 80s or something like that. And it was like nobody was making really what you would call modern metal. There's maybe like a gap where everything that sort of ended and traditional stuff ended, and then modern metal began. But I think traditional metal is almost like just like 70s, 60s and 70s rock, but like sped up and louder. And I think some of like the main parts of it are obviously great singing, interesting guitar work, and sort of the exploration of speed. Early on, I would say we were considering ourselves part of that new wave of traditional heavy metal, although at the time it wasn't like being portrayed as that until a little bit later. But like early on, we were just doing, you know, sort of like niche music that we really liked, and then eventually it got sort of labeled as this sort of, you know, as more bands. It's a weird thing, like, because a lot of bands seemingly in this little time period got really interested in it. I don't, maybe there's like one thing that sort of set that off. It's probably like Rock in Rio coming out or something, but yeah. And as far as that goes, like, I don't know if we would consider ourselves hugely a part of that anymore, because we have explored different things. Like, as musicians, as we got older, we just, like, nowadays it's so easy to get into so many different styles of music, and I mean, there really isn't like a super tight-knit scene of our peers here that are like, you know, kind of keeping us in this certain genre. It's like we just have the freedom to listen to whatever we want without judgment. So we sort of started incorporating different styles of music into our music, and it's been a lot of fun. And it definitely has made some people be like, this band is no longer a traditional heavy metal band. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Yeah, so as far as the difference between the new bands and the old bands, I think the biggest part about it is like it was new when those bands were doing it. Like it was like sort of on the cutting edge, and like they were sort of exploring new territory. And then like a lot of traditional bands, like the new wave, have been sort of really like worshiping that in not in a bad way, but just like I don't think it's been like evolving the sound. I think what's been evolving is like the production values. There's a lot of old records that just didn't get the justice they deserved because the production was so fucking bad. And even bands that I used to listen to, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, I go back now after like this huge leap in music production quality, and it's like some of it gets pretty hard to listen to. And I mean, the charm and like the song is there, but it's like you sort of wish that you had that nice, rich production to like really do the song justice. But it's just not the case. Well, I think the thing with traditional metal was it was like it was just like it was fun. It was fun music, right? Like I think some of like the sub genres like death metal and black metal are like a little bit more serious. I mean, although most of the people in those sub genres are very not serious, so like I don't know. I just like subject matter wise and stuff. I think we just sort of like vibed with what was going on with that. It was more fun, you know, like songs about like historical events and stuff like that. You know, it's not so much stuff about like, you know, torture and death and stuff like that, which I mean, we've listened to lots of that type of music too, but for whatever reason, like, you know, having beers with our buddies and like singing about torturing someone to death is like not our vibe. So it's more like, why don't we drink some beers and write a song about the Mad Max movies or something like that. It's like that was just sort of more our speed at the time. So that's why we started as a traditional band like that. I really like the new wave of traditional heavy metal. If there's one thing I would change about it, I would say like it's too bad the circle isn't more like tight knit or like sort of more supportive. Like we've always tried to be as supportive as we can. I mean, we obviously don't know all the other guys in the other bands. We've met lots of people along the way from those bands, and everybody's been pretty cool. But it's there hasn't been a lot of like collaboration and stuff like that. I find that like everybody who's doing this type of music really has their own thing going on, and they're really like focused on what they're doing. And I think that the scene probably could have used or could use more just sort of openness about like everybody is actually stoked about all these bands, because there is a little bit of that, like, you know, this band isn't necessarily doing the traditional style, or it's too much like this, too much like that, and it's like with so much metal to choose from, it's weird to cut up this sort of small niche thing into like an even smaller group of niches, and then have all these bands like struggle to survive because there's no support for any of them. But yeah, overall, everybody we've met along the way who is playing this similar style of music has been really fucking awesome. So
those who think that traditional heavy metal is for elitists, or that it's not relevant anymore, or that it's strange to pursue a style that commercially peaked some 40 years ago. Wearing clothes that were more common in the 80s. How was it when you started compared to now?
God damn, that was like an assault. That question was like an assault on the band. What's it like to be a fucking idiot? May as well have just said that. I think the biggest thing with this style of music is like nobody's in it to get like filthy famous and rich. Like it's just not a thing. Everybody who does it, I think, does it from a place of like they want to be like they want to sort of recreate this, larger than life thing that was happening in the 80s. And I mean, sometimes I think I've built that up in my head way more than it was. You like read stuff and they're just like, yeah, it was like pretty boring and whatever. Obviously not all of it. Some of it was crazy, but for the elitism thing is definitely a thing. I've found, and I've been like that too, man. Like I remember, the Facebook memories come back of like statuses you made like in like 2007, and it's just like something so cringy and like hateful towards like a specific style of music or something like that. And nowadays I'm like, shit, what a fucking idiot. Like, it just seems so dumb. And but I mean, I think that's what happens when you're young and you've got like a thing that you're like really into, and you want to like be a part of that group. But yeah, I would say there is elitism. I think we felt it a little bit because somewhere along the way, I got really into hardcore music, and then some of that sort of seeped into the music because it just happens that way. And I remember people we know just being like, "You should stop doing that stuff," and I'm just like, "Fuck off, man! Like, who cares? No one's listening to it anyways. Like, fuck." But yeah, I would say that was another thing that was like kind of too bad. I mean, elitism in like our weird like subgenre of metal is just like, what's the fucking point? You're just making sure that this shit gets nowhere. So I don't know. I miss any from that?
Do you have a message to those who think traditional heavy metal is for elitists, it's not relevant, or that it's strange to pursue a style of music that peaked some 40 years ago?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I don't think it's fucked up to like do any kind of music that you want to do. Like, you don't owe anybody anything. Like, for someone to be like, hey, you should stop doing that like thing you like doing because it was popular in the 80s, is like so bizarre. It's like, it's from this like this lens of music. You're only in music because you want to be successful and make money, and it's like, well, that's not why anybody's in music for the most part. Like, if you want to make money, like, go get a real job, So I think it's a weird lens that people look at music through, where they're like, if you're not doing it to be successful, why are you doing it? It's like, well, you like playing tennis and you suck ass at it. So, but it's like, well, if you're not going to go pro, maybe you should stop playing fucking tennis. Like, I don't know. That seems fucked up. That's a great point. Let's go.
That was good.
Let's go, baby.
Tennis?
Fucking tennis, dude.
Wearing clothes that were more common in the 80s. Attack that one a little bit.
Yeah, we got into the 80s clothes a little bit early on, and then after a while, we're just like, that felt fucking weird. It's like a little too LARPy. It's like, I'm playing like dress up as Bruce Dickinson, but he's like still alive and like 50. It's like, what am I doing? So, I mean, we had fun doing that early on, but then we sort of ditched it along the way because we were like, once you're a band, you start to like sort of find your own identity. You sort of want to, dress the way you want, and part of that was not wearing fucking spandex because it's just pretty fucking weird. Bye.